Welcome to Testify Podcast. Great you're here with us. This is a little opportunity we get to hear the amazing stories and testimonies of Jesus in people's lives throughout our community.
Praise the Lord, oh my soul.
Today we are blessed to have an amazing man of faith, David Richard Lindsay.
No.
David Andrew.
It's my brother.
Is it?
Well, Richard, but
David Andrew Lindsay.
We get three
No,
guesses.
who's Andrew?
Wait, we get three guesses.
Oh,
each
this is
at the middle
guess.
name. David.
You'll
John.
never get it.
David John.
David Paul Lindsay.
Yeah, very biblical,
Yes.
but incorrect.
Okay, you got one more guess. I got one more guess.
David Michael Lindsay.
Saint Michael.
David Peter Lindsay.
No, that's my father.
I got a brother and a father. You got none.
Oh, well.
Okay, what is it?
David Jeffrey.
Oh, wow.
Not at all
No, it's
biblical.
miles off.
Yeah, miles off.
Told you wouldn't get it.
There you go.
Jeffrey would have been a 10th guess for me.
Oh, you heard that? I was going to say that next.
Can you guess Marshall's middle name?
No.
Anyway.
Anyway,
Praise the Lord.
Anyway.
Thanks for joining us today, David.
my pleasure. Thanks for
Jeffrey
asking.
Lindsay.
It's good. Yes, where do we start?
What do you want
Let's
to know?
start at the born
Ask me
in...
one on sport,
Oh, yeah.
Born
as
where?
they say.
Born where?
Well, it was many years ago on a dark and stormy night.
The Lord wasn't there.
He wasn't there that night. I popped out in Auckland, New Zealand.
Oh, sorry about that.
Great place.
No, I've never regretted being born in New Zealand.
One of how many?
3, the youngest of 3.
Youngest of 3.
Are you
Yeah.
the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
So you've got a brother
I have got a brother
and a sister.
and a sister, but don't try and guess her name. You'll never get
Okay,
it.
that's all right. That's cool.
Yes.
So you're the youngest of 3,
Yeah,
born in Auckland,
yeah.
born in a church setting, Christian setting, religious setting.
Yeah, religious setting.
Okay.
It's probably good my family isn't here to hear this, so we're not going to put this on the internet or anything, are we?
No. No, we definitely-
But they were churchgoers.
Okay.
I mean, they would probably disagree with this, to be fair, but it wasn't what I would call a genuine knowing Christ experience.
Right.
So we went to church. I hated it. I hated it from the day I was born.
Right. Oh, you sort of there from the day you were born?
Well,
You just
more or
rocked up
less.
every Sunday.
Well, yeah, basically.
Okay.
I remember going to Sunday school,
Yeah.
What do you
going through the
remember?
ranks, doing boys'
Going
brigades.
through the ranks.
Yeah.
We need some ranks.
We need some ranks,
I
not
want some
hierarchical
ranks.
enough.
Is
Yeah.
this Salvation Army? Oh,
No, just as you get older, you
Yeah.
know, you move
Bondage
through the
army.
years.
What do you remember not liking about it?
That's a good question. I mean, I just didn't like it. It didn't mean anything to me. Why can't I do my own thing on Sunday? But I think, to be fair, I mean, without hitting up my family or the church at the time too much, it was, also me and my nature of wanting to do my own thing.
Right. Yeah.
To be fair.
yeah.
A little bit rebellious.
Yeah, quite perhaps self-centered is probably a better way to put it. And so I kicked and screamed and dragged my.
From what
feet.
age? From what age you reckon?
Oh, as long as I can remember, really.
Okay.
But certainly by the time I was getting, older, like
4 or 5.
10, I was determined to quit this as soon as I could.
Wow.
And so, fortunately in our family, the age when you could decide whether you went to church or not was 11.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, it's nearly my 11th birthday. I remember my 11th birthday was a Sunday. And I thought, on
This is my last
Sunday,
Sunday.
I don't care about presents. I don't care about happy birthdays. I don't care about parties. On Sunday, I'm going to lie in bed and I'm not going to get up until everybody's gone to church, and then I'm going to do my own thing all day. It's going to be great.
Wow.
I am
And
so...
that's what I did.
Wow.
I'm so curious.
It was great.
11 years old.
Yeah,
Stay at home.
what was so bad?
Oh, I think in retrospect and honesty, it probably wasn't so bad. It's just that I wanted to do my own thing.
Oh.
You obviously didn't have a lot of freedom before 11.
I think, well...
Well, who does it? 11.
It's just funny that church is the first thing you want to let go of. No friends there, no...
Well, probably. And look, thinking back, there were some good people there, people that turned up and taught Sunday school every day, every week, and you tried to do things with us. I remember they had an overnight kind of sleepover camp kind of thing in the church building once, and we played Battleship, electronic Battleship all night. These aren't bad things. They're not bad people. I wasn't abused there. I just wanted to do my own thing.
Wow.
I just did not want to be bound down to it.
Yeah. What was your own thing? What was this massive own thing that you wanted one day of the week?
Probably
for?
another good question. So from 11, that's what I did. I followed a policy in my life of doing whatever I wanted.
Wow.
And that was just looking after myself, doing whatever was in my own interest to advance my own cause. I wanted to be rich, young. I wanted to be, famous. I wanted to be talented. I wanted to marry well and have a beautiful chick on my arm. And the only ones of all of those that I actually got was the chick on my arm.
Wow. Shout out
But
to
what?
Samantha.
So what?
Yeah, shout out.
So what sort of
Thanks,
shaped
thank you.
this? This desire. What shaped this?
Was it a movie that you watched? Did you watch some movie?
Dukes of Hazzard or something?
No, this was the 70s. We didn't have movies in those days.
Was this a comic book here?
Yeah. So what sort of
No, that's,
fed this desire? This I want to be famous and rich and have a nice chick and.
well, partly it's just my own nature. I wanted to be these things.
Wow.
I suppose, we're all influenced by the culture around us. These were the, cool things to do, even in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So for the next 5 years or so, I basically pleased myself.
Wow.
And I...
So from 11 to 16, so what did that look like? You're just at school?
I'm at school. The thing is that I'm far too calculating to actually go into the party scene, to take drugs, thinking that's cool. This was about advancing my own cause.
Okay.
This wasn't about, throwing caution to the wind and doing whatever in life and destroying myself.
Yeah.
So this was about, calculating my next move to the point where I would be rich and famous with the chick on my arm.
Wow.
So that's I'm very calculating in that way.
Yeah.
So that always prevented me from going into the abyss, which would, destroy me.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what did the next 5 years? So you had no church really for 5 years?
No, never set foot in church again until much later.
Wow.
We'll get to that, but it's quite an interesting story how I end up in church again.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I'm 16, I've burned out all my friends. I burned out myself. I'm totally lonely. I'm...
Burnt out yourself?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Burnt out yourself?
Yeah,
That's 16.
Yeah, by 16, inside I'm just lonely, depressed, so self-absorbed. There's no satisfaction in my life.
What were you doing?
It was a different sort of destroying yourself.
What were you doing from 11 to 16?
Just following my own interests. People to me were stepping stones. Events were very totally aware of the politics of situations, so that I knew whether that was going to advance my cause as to whatever I wanted to achieve in my life.
So,
So I'm very calculating in that sense.
what were you doing? Like, just going, like, what sort of stuff were you practically doing?
Just well, not much really. School, study, sport, music.
Oh, what sport did you play?
Well, hockey was my sport.
Right.
Grass hockey?
Field hockey, yeah, what they call field hockey.
It didn't have AstroTurf back then.
So
Ice hockey could have been ice hockey.
It's the ice hockey.
field hockey is the term, but
Yeah. And what music
I
did
made
you
it
play?
to the captain of the first 11, and that was
Did you?
that was the pinnacle of the achievement.
Hockey career.
Pretty much. I did 2 years at club after that. But,
Oh, yeah.
Did you win the year you were captain?
not sometimes.
And your music, what music did you play?
I played the flute.
Okay.
Yeah, I played the flute was my main instrument. So I haven't learnt the flute for years, although every now and again I'll tinkle with it, tinker with it.
Tinkle. Okay. So 16 you burned,
Yeah, in
Just
my own terms. Yeah.
cooked. Yeah. So then what?
So I learned to be, I learned to be lonely and I learned to be depressed at quite a young age.
So hermit?
Because in
almost?
fact, you need relationships
Amen.
to be self-fulfilling. Yeah. Okay, that's a hard lesson for me. Someone who's self-absorbed and calculating needs to know that the relationships around them are not just strategic stepping stones. They're actually, people that you need in your life to make you a better person.
Yeah.
So that's a hard lesson for me. But it's one that I learned relatively late.
Yeah.
That's why I say I'm burnt out.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thoroughly, exhausted with
Wow.
trying to be
Someone.
great. Yeah. Trying to be someone without any, real resources to do that.
And what were your family sort of saying to you at the time? Were they like, what are you doing, man? Or not really.
Nah, it's just like, I'm getting a bit rebellious probably. I would not want to have been my parents. I would not want a child like me. Because that's real difficult, your parent, whatever they say, kid's going to twist it, they're going to use it against you, they're going to rebel against you. And that's what I did, rebelled.
Wow. So you're at uni? You go to uni after that?
I went to uni after that, but when I'm 16, the devil always has his man, right? God always has his man, but so does the devil. And when I'm 16, I'm totally burnt out, depressed and lonely. And I meet a guy who says, listen, I know how to reach fulfillment in life. I'm all ears.
Wow.
He says, this is the truth. This is the truth here. And that began 3.5 years in the New Age movement for me.
Really?
Yeah. And so
How did you meet this guy?
I'm learning about, sort of a friend of a friend.
Oh, wow.
And I'm learning about, using your own energy to self-actualize yourself, transcendental meditation, about, mind control and telepathy and all this sort of stuff. Wow. And look, to someone in my situation, you're vulnerable and the devil takes advantage of it. And not only that, but the guy was saying prophetic things like, I have been told by the God spirits that you're destined for great things, that you'll be the leader of a great organization teaching these things. Wow. And I thought,
Just what you wanted to hear.
finally it's arrived. So I'm following that hard after that.
How old? Your age? Bit older than you?
19? Oh,
No, the guy.
Oh, that guy was, he's probably in his 40s.
She's in your 16. He's
Yeah.
40.
Yeah. So that's what I follow.
so uni and New Age, you're in
Yep.
big time.
Yeah.
Those two.
Well, late high school, senior high school.
Okay, yeah.
A very vulnerable age,
Yeah.
you know, and you get a prophecy like that. That's why I was careful about prophecies. That, you know, they can send you off on a real rabbit hole. And plus, like I just repeat, that the Lord has his man, but so does the devil. The Lord has his prophets, so does the devil.
Yeah.
And they're feeding you lies.
Yeah.
When did that crumble? When did you realise that was rubbish?
Okay, so we get to about 18, 19. I'm at university. Still very unhappy, but at least with this kind of hope that I'm going to be great one day.
What are you studying?
I wanted to do law, but I'm a failed lawyer, so I went and did geography instead.
Geography.
So closely related. What do you mean?
Yeah, easy mistake.
Yeah, what do you
Less
mean you're-
interaction with people.
What do you mean you're a failed lawyer? What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, to get into law school, you had to do a law intermediate. And only the top, 120 or whatever get in to law school. And I didn't get in. I wasn't good enough. But I had developed some very bad, sort of study habits through my schooling. I was smart. I was intelligent. I had the smarts, but I didn't have the discipline to actually, work at it. And I thought I could just get by without doing any work. And so I didn't get into law school, and so I went and finished off my Bachelor of Arts, which is basically the law intermediate is the first year of a Bachelor of Arts, and so if you fail that, then you just go on and finish your Bachelor of Arts. And geography was my best subject, so that's what I did. Funny where life takes you. Well, not everybody's good at geography, but that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, in that period, while I'm playing hockey, I get hot on this girl who's the daughter of the coach. Very strategic move, you see. Anyway, so I say, oh, hey, you want to go out? You want to go out? You want to meet up sometime? She says, oh, don't you want to? Oh, it's not that I don't want to, but you better talk to my father.
Oh, wow.
Good girl.
So I'd speak to the dad and ring him up one night and say, well, it's quite like your daughter. Would it be okay if we went out sometime? And he says, oh, David, you're a good guy, I like you, et cetera, et cetera. But you should come along to church with us
Oh,
wow.
Gotcha.
first, and then we'll see. And I said, and the church thing, how much do I really like this girl? Okay, all right, I'll come along to church.
So you're like 20, 21,
Yeah, probably 18,
18? Yeah. Okay.
19. So I went to church just for this girl. Well, I'll just have to sit there on Sunday morning.
Endure.
Yeah, I'll endure it. So I did that, and he let me go out with his daughter, which is probably the worst thing that he ever let me do.
Did you just went the once, or you went on Sundays with them?
Well, fortunately, that church, they had 5 services a week, right? And so, oh man, this is torture. Sunday night and Thursday night.
Tuesday
You had to
night.
go to all of them with them.
Well,
Well, if
maybe
you
not
wanted to
all
hang-
of them.
If you wanted to hang out with the girl, hey,
If you wanted to make it appear as if you're a Christian, then you had to put in an appearance fairly regularly.
By the time Vita's 15, we need to be having 7 services a week. Just FYI. We'll
Just
come
saying,
towards
yeah.
that.
This is how you make Christians. You force them to go 7 times a week
especially if they're hot after it.
Especially if they're
and fill it up with hot chicks.
Fill it up with hot chicks. That's how we get the converts. Shucks.
Been done before.
Yeah, I bet.
So
Flirt
anyway,
to convert.
so I'm going along for months just to get what I want. See how it works?
Yes.
It's simple.
Yeah.
And I want the girl right now. So that's what I do. Oh, I guess after about a year, I'm still depressed, lonely, just unfulfilled. And I start to realise that these guys, at this church have something that I don't have. They've got something I don't have. Well, I'm going to redouble my efforts to get it. 6 months later, I realised not only do they have something that I don't have, but that I'm never going to get it where I am. And it's only at that point that I start looking at Christianity more seriously. So suffice to say, cut a long story short, I had a very slow start to my Christian life. I cannot tell you when I became a Christian. For the next several years, it was real rocky. It's kind of like trying to be committed, but trying to learn the art of actually having faith, of being dealt with by God, who loved me too much to leave me like I was, and beating me into shape as it were. God doesn't beat you, but
Did you get the girl? Like,
no, we broke up.
oh wow,
Yeah, I know. It's like, man, what was all that about?
all this effort,
Yeah,
but you're in the church now, though. You've
I got something better.
You've got a
Right?
You've got a curiosity now that you're delving into.
I didn't get the girl, but I'm now part of the bride of Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a good line, eh?
And so this is the same church you end up staying in for a long time?
Yeah, so I ended up staying in the church for 35 years. Obviously a lot happens in that time, and that church was big on discipline or self-discipline, big on knowing the Bible well, on letting God deal with your life, and these are all good things. And sure enough, the Lord does deal with me in His way, in His time, which takes years. But over the years, I think He knocked me into shape and taught me a few things.
Good.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up in a church. Ended up being a Christian.
Wow.
Very, very rocky start.
Yeah. Slow and rocky.
Very.
So how did the New Age thing just cut? Did it just chop or phase out?
That's another story. The 1 minute version is, so I say, I've got to cut ties with this guy and this whole thing. So I go and can I see you? So I sit down like this and I say to him, I've become a Christian. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to learn anymore. I'm not going to come and see you anymore. And he looks at me and he says, yeah, I know you're going to say that because I've had a prophecy.
Oh, wow. There you go.
And he looks at me in the eyes. He says, the truth is that in 15 years' time, you will once again reconsider what you believe, and you'll come back to this.
Wow.
And right at that moment, I felt all these spirits go over me, through me, in me. Kind of like someone had opened a door and suddenly the wind had rushed in.
Whoa.
And just this icy fear gripped me that I was in the grip and control of these spirits. Real heavy duty stuff, actually. And so I went home, crying and upset and sick and tearful that how stupid could I be to go there and let this happen to me, and all my dreams for the future are over because now I'm in control of spirits who are going to drag me back, and my life's over, and a terrible, terrible time.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you tell anyone? Did you go to the church and?
Well, who do you tell?
Shucks, anyone. Help.
I did mention it to the pastor once, every now and again they had a chat to me and I'd say, I'm really having trouble, reading the Bible. I'm not sure if I believe it. And then, I was talking to this guy. I said I wasn't part of the New Age movement anymore, and I had all this sort of thing come over me, and now I feel like I'm possessed. And he says, well, those are spirits. Spirits are real. which kind of didn't help. But, if there's a message from this, spirits are real.
Yeah.
You can't play around with them. Okay, they will take you. And their purpose, of course, they're serving their master Satan, and their purpose is to rob, steal and destroy. And they will destroy you as their prime trophy. They want to destroy humans as the creation of God, and they want to especially destroy Christians as the bride of Christ. Yeah.
How long did that possession hang around?
Honestly, years.
Right.
I thought I got a 15-year sentence now. Wow. I'm living a 15-year sentence, and this is hell. Every day I wake up with this fear in my heart, wondering if, today's the day I'm going to slip back and slide back and reluctantly but willingly go back to my old life. And that's, it's nasty. It's nasty. Very, very nasty.
Did you ever get, did you get deliverance from it? Did you have someone pray over you?
No, well, number one, that church wasn't really into that kind of deliverance. There was no deliverance ministry as such there. It was about trusting in God, following hard after God, getting into the Word and strengthening yourself in that way. And that's what I tried to do. But, living with fear, just this icy fear, was a terrible thing.
Icy fear, that's a good description.
When did it go?
Well, two things I would point to. I got married when I was 26, all right?
So this icy fear happened prior to that?
Prior to that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Say 6. Well, I became a Christian-ish at 19 or so.
Okay, yeah.
So I get married at 26.
Okay.
So I've been living it with it for that long, that time. I just sort of learnt to manage it rather than be free of it. So I got married, and I remember a couple of years after we'd been married or so, I sort of confessed to my wife. I said, this is what happened. And this came over me, and I feel like I'm in control of these spirits. And I got a 15-year sentence. This is what he said. And I got to give credit to her. She looked at me in the eye.
Yeah.
And she says to me, "That's a lie of the devil. Don't listen to it." And something broke inside me at that time. I wasn't completely free, but something broke, that there was hope. And that wasn't going to be my fate.
Yeah.
So, the speaking positive words into someone's life, speaking truth, and calling it for what it is, which is a lie of the devil. And so that was, that was a positive thing. Of course, after 15 years, what happened after 15 years was kind of like nothing.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long ago that is, 20 years ago now.
Right.
So I'd like to say to you, if you're listening, I'm stronger than ever. And the devil did not have his way in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're what are you doing for work after school, after uni? You finished your geography bachelor's?
Yeah, I finished my Bachelor of Arts in Geography. I think I could go back and do law now because they reserve places for graduates.
Okay.
And I had some pretty good grades by then. I could go and do law. But I've quite liked geography. I should do my master's while I'm here, my master's in geography, Master of Arts, while I'm here, because I'd never go back to it later. So I'll just do my master's and then I'll do law. So I finished my master's another 2 years. By that stage, I just feel in my heart it's time to go and get a job.
Yeah. You've been studying for how long?
Studying for, 5 years by that time.
Can I ask, your master's in geography is like a deep understanding of
landscape.
Oh, what's geography about?
Like, what out of that you would be like, my deep understanding is?
That's a good question. a lot of people think that geography is about learning place names and capital cities.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Let's play a game.
Which it really isn't
Yeah.
about that at all. The academic study of geography is about the science of space, how space or spatial structures influence how we live, or how the bioatmosphere works, whatever it might be that you're studying. So geography is a discipline that's very good at bringing together a whole lot of other aspects of different disciplines and compiling that information in a unique way which understands the spatial aspects of that information. So, for example, I was into social and economic geography. And so I did as my thesis how street kids on the streets of hardcore street kids used the space that they were living in and how they interacted with the way we use our space, the same space really, sort of co-inhabiting kind of different universes almost. So I would go and spend a lot of time with these hardcore street kids. This is an interesting experience.
That's
G'day, I'm David Lindsay. I'm just doing a bit of research, guys.
I'd
That's
go.
where you met Marshall?
Wow.
Actually, I saw you a couple of times.
I was going to say that's where you met me.
So I'd go through my closet and get out the oldest, dirtiest clothes I could find
Wow.
to try and fit in.
Wow.
You know, here's a rumpty old T-shirt I use for painting, and here's some shorts, you know, whatever, bit torn. And so I'd go and they had a drop-in centre there where they'd feed them dinner every night. So I'd turn up there every night and just sort of sit on the tables and let them get used to seeing me around. And
They're like, so where do you live? And you're like, oh, just down there. No, that's where I
yeah,
live.
just on that other road over there.
Not in that 2-story house with the nice door and the three cars out the front.
The white picket fence.
Yeah, that's not me.
That's not me.
Yeah. Number 72, it's not mine.
A couple of times, they did actually take me in. They said, "Oh, come with us. Come with us. We're just going to walk down Queen Street." So we're walking down Queen Street together, just hanging out, you know, as you do, trying to, you know, perfect my street kid look.
Street swag. Yeah. Let's
And
punch that window.
they're trusting me, you know, because they wouldn't ask you if they didn't trust you. I said, "Oh, we've got all this shopping. Can you help? Can you help carry one of these bags?" Yeah, sure. So I'm carrying these bags down, and we're walking down the road, and they suddenly say, "Oh, we've got to cross the road." I said, "Why?" He says, "There's a cop coming the other way." So we scuttle over the other side of the road, and then I realise this shopping's stolen. That's what I'm carrying. I'm carrying stolen goods. Yeah, let's cross the road. Yeah, it's funny stories like
Bit of
that.
smoke and
Yeah.
Well, once we were sitting on a park bench and they started to sniff the glue. In those days, they were sniffing glue. Get an aerosol can and put it into a bag and sniff the fumes. Gives them a high. Not good for you. Don't try it. And they said, here, your turn. I said, "Oh, no, it's okay. No worries." I wasn't into that sort of thing, you see. I wasn't into self-destructive stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. You can share our bag. No, it's right. Yeah, no, come on, you share it. Start to put the pressure on, you know. I realised that you can get into awkward situations
Peer pressure.
when you're doing these things. Well, I wasn't tempted to do it, but, you know, I realised this was damaging my relationship with them. I was only prepared to go to a certain point in my understanding of them.
Mm.
But yeah, we'd go under bridges and visit them under the bridges. They were very generous people. They'd say, "Oh, we're going to go up to K Road. Come on, let's take this bus that's just turned up." I said, "Oh, I haven't got any money. Don't worry, we'll pay for you." They're good like that. You know, they were very generous
Pay for
people.
you.
It's all
Just jump
recruit-
on before. And we'll,
No money needed.
It's all
Yeah.
recruitment.
No, but they're basically good people, but lost people.
yeah.
So look, anyway, that
So you
was
finished your masters.
finished my masters.
And you in a relationship at that time? Or that's prior?
No, I think I'm single at that time.
Yeah, okay. So you finish and then you start work. What is work?
I start work. I get a job as working in the as a consultant in the property development industry. So we were advising people building shopping centres, and my job was to do research or market research, and not telephone research, but like analysing the market and the numbers to see if this was a viable prospect, and how big this shopping centre should be, and how many shops should be in it, and what the market can sustain, that sort of thing.
Wow.
It was a good job. 2.5 years doing that.
Yep.
Then I moved to the a council called the Auckland Regional Council, doing strategic planning, which again is a research role, understanding the growth of Auckland and what infrastructure was going to be required, that sort of thing.
Very nice.
That's a good role.
Was that under Mills?
No, I don't remember. I can't remember the leaders at the time, to be honest. Yeah.
Did you agree with a train? A tube?
The train set.
The tube?
Yeah. Public transport in Auckland's complicated.
Absolutely.
They had about 43 different infrastructure companies, that you had to coordinate in order to actually get anything built.
Yeah.
It was very complicated. So
how
I
long
had
were
a
you
small role in
there?
that.
How long were you there?
10 years.
Wow. Okay.
10 years.
So
So I got married in that period.
Yeah. And you're still going to church, building your faith?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Doing church things.
Dabbling.
Youth group and
Okay. Yeah.
you got married. They had a young married couples group. And doing the thing, doing the faithful, just turning up.
Yep.
I suppose growing in the Lord in my own faltering way. I didn't understand the Bible at all, really. I tell my Bible school students that it's really funny that I'm here teaching you guys Bible because I don't understand the Bible at all for many years.
Yeah.
I had to jettison a lot of ways of thinking that I had grown up with and that I had accumulated along the way. And I needed to learn to yield to the Spirit because it's the Spirit that quickens. It's the Spirit that makes alive even our understanding of the Scriptures. And, God had plans for me if I could remain faithful. And I think He's brought those about. They're not the plans that I had originally chosen.
No.
But these are better plans. Like He says in Jeremiah, the plans that I have for you are plans for good, not for evil.
That's good. So when did you leave council? Did you start your own?
I decided,
this,
so I'm in my mid-30s, I decide that I need to, I want to go back to university.
Wow.
And do law. No, not law. No, the irony is I didn't do law.
Okay.
I went back and I said to my wife, I want to do a PhD in politics. That's what my interest is now. Not about being a politician, but
Is
just
that
understanding.
because of your involvement in council?
Yeah, I think so. And my role, and I had sort of a couple of roles during council period, I had a lot to do with the council, what they call councillors.
Yeah.
And I ran what we called the visiting speakers program. We would invite and pay for overseas speakers, high-profile speakers to come over. And some of them were pretty high-profile. And we would sometimes, go around and visit other important people in Auckland or around New Zealand. And I would meet quite a few very interesting people. And I think that gave me an insight into, rubbing shoulders with these people. I wouldn't say I know them personally, but I've rubbed shoulders with them and seen them, in the flesh.
Yeah.
Spoken to quite a few of them. So, I think I just got interested in how politics works.
Right. So that's what sort of drove you into the arts side of political science. Was it political science? Or?
Yeah, in Auckland University, they call it political studies.
Okay.
Political science is the American term.
Oh, yeah.
Americans have made a science out of politics. Here in the English tradition, it's more studies, political studies.
It was political science when I enrolled.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So how long did that take to get a PhD? So you
PhD, I loved
cross-credited-
every minute of that.
Really?
Yeah, so I was there 5 years.
Yeah.
Tried to
Full time?
stretch it out as long as I could.
Really?
Yeah.
So you would have
full-time, yeah.
cross-credited a little bit.
I cross-credited a Masters in Arts in Geography into a PhD in, entry requirements for a PhD in politics.
Okay, cool.
They told me do 1 year of papers in politics, and if you do okay there, then we'll let you into PhD.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's what I did, and it was awesome.
So your wife supported you with that?
Well, I got a scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah, her concern was the money.
Yeah.
Going off a full income to nothing. We only had one income.
Yeah.
I was in the shower after we got married, and the Lord spoke to me, and the Lord said, Samantha should stop working. Just look after the home and the family, so that that is a peaceful, sort of godly environment.
Right.
How are we going to afford it? We just built a house, had a mortgage. I'll look after it. Don't worry about it.
And this was prior to...
Yeah, I'm going back here.
Okay, prior
This was
to
a year,
politics.
probably 2 years after we got married,
Right. Wow.
or maybe less, 1 year.
Okay.
And so I said, listen, I think the Lord wants you to just be one income. You manage the family, and I'll manage the professional side, and we'll work as a team like that. And she said, yeah, okay.
Deal.
Yeah. So it's worked out okay.
And then you're like, okay, so we're one income family.
Yeah. And then I say, I want to do PhD.
Yes.
But what about our income?
We're going to be
We're
a
a-
no-income family.
Yeah.
From 2 to 1.
To none.
Well, so
How did you survive?
That's
I got a scholarship, PhD.
fully paid scholarship.
Matter of fact, I got 4 scholarships.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a good student through my masters, so good grades, like really good grades. I had professional experience,
Right.
and I was by the stage mid-30s mature student.
Yeah.
Really attractive, all of those things to
You were
universities
really attractive.
who think, Plus, I was really attractive.
Yeah.
They were hot. They were a bit hot for you.
They were
The
hot for you,
university
though.
was a bit hot for you.
we need this guy.
We need that.
There weren't any chicks there, but so I ended up with 4 scholarships. You could only take one of them at a time. But I took the best one. It was a prestigious scholarship, which they don't actually offer anymore. They only gave out 40 or something in the whole country. Wow. Yeah, it's called the Top Achievers Award. They discontinued it after I went through, but not because I went through.
We wouldn't say that.
No suggestion of
No
that.
suggestions there.
So with that and a few other jobs and consultants, the council was quite good. They gave me a bit of contract work and stuff like that. So
Okay.
with a few things, we still ended up with a decent income.
Cool.
And I felt very in the Lord that we were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
For future development, for future
Yeah.
course of my life. So I loved
So
every minute
5
of it.
years, you did your PhD in politics.
Yep.
What was your thesis on for that one?
Well, I was looking at how Parliament handles moral issues.
Oh wow.
Because what's happened since the 60s or so, especially since the 60s, is that the church has retreated from public life. Prior to that, Parliament had looked to the church to set the standards for the direction of society.
Morality.
Yeah, for morality, in a word. And for whatever reason, it had been kicked out of the public square or just retreated, and that left a vacuum for who was providing the moral input into Parliament. Good question. Parliament itself picks it up. Yeah, but on what basis are they going to decide how society should live?
Oh, politicians are the best for that.
Yeah, exactly. You can trust politicians
Yes, you
to make
can.
the right call,
Yes.
right? So,
servants.
big problems there because, on what
Wow.
basis are they making decisions? What's their own morality? How does the dynamics of political parties work in terms of coming up with moral judgments? Where do they get their values from? All these questions come up.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So
did
that's
you-
fascinating.
And then after that, so after the PhD, did you sort of pursue that? Politics?
No. I said, well, my scholarship's run out. What am I going to do for a job? I don't want to go back and work 9 to 5. I'm done with that. I'll set a business up. I go into business.
Wow.
So I said, Lord, what am I going to do? Well, long story short, because no doubt we're running out of time, but long story short, I find myself in China
Should do
looking for some other product,
a doctorate in politics there.
Yeah, I was going to say running for
running for mayor.
for the local mayor of Yangwang Chong.
And I'm sitting there because we're going to do another product, and I'm sitting there in this factory that sells glass cabinets, thinking, well, we'll get some glass cabinets to put our other products in. I'm just looking at them thinking, I reckon I could sell those glass cabinets in New Zealand. And we ended up not doing the other product, which was shoes, and just going for glass cabinets. So I ordered a container full of glass cabinets. And that was the beginning of 14 years
14
of a very
years.
successful business selling glass cabinet, nothing but glass cabinets of different types, trophy cabinets, display counters, display cabinets,
Wow.
dust-proof cabinets for Lego or high-end models,
Collector's items. Yeah, nice.
and that's what I did for 14 years.
Wow.
But the Lord blessed, like He said He would. He doesn't necessarily do it in the way you expect.
Yeah.
But I remember the guy who used to help me with transportation, used to deliver some of my stuff. He said to me just in an offhand way, you gotta cheat on your taxes. You got to take cash jobs under the table. You can't declare all your income. It's the only way to get ahead. Yeah.
He's a tradie, obviously.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? It's the only way to get ahead. And I had decided I was going to do business the Lord's way because that's the way to blessing. I said, gee, I hope that's not true because I'm going to do it the Lord's way, which means being honest, doesn't it? And so I was paying my GST and people would offer me cash. Yeah, I'll take cash, but I'm always going to pay the GST, so you got to still pay it and that sort of thing. Lost a few sales that way, but not too many. 14 years later, I can honestly say the Lord's blessed.
So the political thing just parked itself for a while.
Yeah, I
okay.
guess. I mean, I did bits and pieces. I was asked to teach some courses at university in politics. I did some guest speaking. When New Zealand was re-examining its electoral system, I was asked to go around and do a circuit telling them about the electoral systems that were on offer, this kind of thing. I loved it. And 1 or 2 elections back, I did my own sort of little podcast that I would send out explaining what the options for Christians were.
Right.
And here's the parties, here's what they believe, this is what the implications are, this is the strategic voting you can do, all that sort of thing.
That's very
So I
cool.
tried to, contribute to people's voting
awesome.
decision. Not tell them what to vote, but so they can understand how to vote. So so I haven't done, I haven't worked with politics again, but I've used it once or twice.
Amazing.
But keen to use that again, of
yeah,
course.
for sure. For sure.
And also, I'm setting up a business again here in Australia.
Oh, awesome.
That's exciting. That's very
That's
exciting.
good.
So, coming to how we end up here in Australia.
Yeah.
We had sort of, after 14 years, I was looking to get out. It was kind of really going well. I thought this is the time to sell.
Yep. On the up.
We felt our time was right to start doing something along the Christian line, start teaching scripture. The Lord had opened doors for us, and that's given me a sort of enlightened heart in terms of understanding scripture by then. And So again, a long story short, we find ourselves in Gold Coast having lunch, dinner with a guy by the name of Marshall and his wife.
Wow.
And Dan and his
Good
wife.
They seem
And we're saying,
great guys.
I think you think?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know him?
I'm paid to say that.
Are we still on air? And we're saying, look, David wants to do this. We probably have to go to the US to use those kind of skills. And Marshall says, we could come to Gold Coast because we want to set up a Bible school. So we went home, thought about it. Again, long story short, doors were closing in New Zealand. Our journey at that particular church was coming to an end for a whole bunch of reasons. Doors were closing there, and the business wanted to get out of that. Doors were opening here in the Gold Coast. So we thought we should probably take that as a hint and move through the door, right?
Yeah.
And so we had other confirmations. Bizarrely, we went home and told the kids, we're thinking of moving to Australia. The next day, my son, they do a school project. Would you believe it? It's on moving to Australia.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So he did all your research for you and decided that
How to move to Australia.
Just organised. Here's the plan.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's
amazing.
bizarre how God moves and he confirms to you.
Yeah.
And so, Lord, we need all these things to happen. We need something to do with the house, the business, da-da-da-da-da. You know, we need the kids to be on board with us. I don't want to force them on this. And he did all of it.
Yeah.
So we moved at the beginning of this year, which is 2024. And, but, of course, that brings us to a whole new journey for us. You know, we had come assuming we're here to teach Scripture, and we are. I've been looking after the Bible school on Monday nights.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. But it becomes, we become aware that actually, you know, we're in a good place, but we've got things to learn as well. That church we'd spent 35 years in was all about what you believe and understanding the Bible. I come to chapel, and chapel is all about being part of a community, being part of a family, understanding the love of God. They value the Scriptures, but the emphasis is completely around the other way. And so we're trying to fit this into our sort of theology. And so, you know, and it's been a growing experience. It wasn't necessarily easy at the start, but we have come to understand and appreciate the power of love when people come together, when Christians come together and operate as a Christian community. That's tremendously attracting to the world around it. That's just a bright star in a dark society. And people come along. I've seen it. People come along because they're almost loved into the kingdom. And we're there to tell them, you know, this is what Christians believe. This is what it's all about. This is the intellectual or the rational substance for why we do this. That's also important. But that on its own is quite dry and lifeless unless you've got a community that's actually living that out. And that's been a journey for us. But one, I think we're sort of on the, you know, the exponential curve of and sort of riding that wave, really.
That's good.
And so we've very much seen this as a growing learning experience and the next part of our journey, really.
It's cool.
And we just want to contribute to that in how we can, both in terms of love as well as the teaching side.
Sure.
So that's where we're at now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very
Appreciate
cool.
it.
I really admire your ability and willingness to continue to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Because you've done a lot of learning, a lot of growing, and then to come and be faced with something that's totally different, but to see you just press in and be like, no, we're here. And I'm sure the move over was just exactly how it was planned, and everything's just
Well, it was more expensive than I'd planned.
Oh, yeah.
But
That's good.
no, look, the Lord doesn't take you somewhere and just leave you to stagnate. It's always about growing.
Yeah. Amen.
And so we've had to take the attitude. I think everybody needs to take the attitude.
Absolutely.
We're here to contribute
Yeah.
to what? The community.
Yeah.
And listen, you could say, I've come a long way from when I was 16.
Huge.
Lonely, depressed, totally calculating about how I can get what I want out of life, to, being part of this amazing community and sort of being part of this family. That's quite a turnaround. But that's the journey the Lord takes you on.
Yeah.
And He knows everybody's need.
Yeah.
And He handles us so wisely and so gently. It feels hard sometimes, but it's so gentle.
Yeah,
and you look back
it's
on
true.
it and you think, man, I've come so far.
It's awesome.
Oh, that's an awesome note to wrap up on,
Yeah.
David. That's really good.
Thanks, man.
Oh, my pleasure.
Good
man.
chatting.
Appreciate you asking me.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay.
Awesome, mate.
Appreciate you, mate.
My pleasure.